into it. So, I mean, there's going to be, I mean, of course, there's going to be arguments of, hey, they just, really just worked on an add-on, but I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, they did something before the competitors did. And so if they're going to be spending money developing the VR headsets, they're going to charge money for it. I mean, they're going to make it proprietary. And especially if there's a lot of money, especially if you look at, say, for instance, simulated racing, and they make a game, they make all the technology for that, they're going to make it proprietary, right? Because they don't want other people making money off this. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to be it will be a proprietary shootout fest. And it makes you wonder if, Oculus Rift will be the future as well.
Well, yeah, that's the main one that everyone's talking about, because it was kind of the first out there, really, and that's really what everyone's talking about. But there's so many other contenders now.
Well, you've seen how, I remember studying about the innovators curve, right? It's usually the early adopters that are the most successful, not the innovators themselves. Yeah. So that's interesting. Then maybe this could play a role in, Oculus Rift is one of the innovators, but maybe someone like Nvidia comes in, the early adopter, and really takes it that step further. It'd be interesting to see how this goes in the future, that's for sure. So I'm really looking forward to more announcements, more developments in the VR field. That's I think that,
yeah. So it looks like we did. I did have a brief sound cut out on my end. They were saying, but you were fine though. But
okay.
You guys, I'm sure, heard Brian. But what I was saying before that was we were just basically talking about proprietary issues with VR headsets, if that was going to become a thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think we've really we've touched on what we want to on that topic.
Well, I wonder if they get emotions, like you can feel yourself drinking a coffee and you get the hit out of the VR headset. That'd be pretty good. So,
you're gonna be packing like digital health potions with you and stuff like that, and swinging them back.
Well, yeah. Instead of walking into a Starbucks, you walk into a Nest Cafe, like an actual coffee shop. That'd be awesome.
Why not?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much with the Nvidia headset. But I'm excited to see it though, and hopefully they got some cool GameWorks features that I could take advantage of with the 980 Ti's. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, exactly. You got two of those things, man. I'm so jelly. But there's as well. I'm going to say to the viewers, if they want to have any follow-up questions on the articles, then post up and we'll answer them. At a later date.
If you fire them away. There's a link down in the description for the Twitter page for Tech Gaming Weekly. It's TEK Gaming Weekly on Twitter. If you want to fire any questions on there, if we have time towards the end of the show, then we will get to those. Or if we're doing it later, we could check the chat. But right now, we're going to move on to the next topic, which is the issue of Steam refunds, which kind of has come on the scene recently. I think it's a lot of gamers are going to be welcoming this with open arms. Origin had sort of implemented something like this a few months back, where you could basically get a refund. I think it was like within a day or something when you got a game.
Yeah, see, I like this. I mean, 2 hours of playtime's absolutely fair. I think that's a fair level.
And it's over 14 days too.
Yeah, and so for me, like personally, I would have actually used this with Shadows of Mordor. Like I jumped into the game, I just didn't enjoy it. I played it for like an hour. This would have been perfect for me. I would have got some money back.
Absolutely. Those day one releases, because it works with pre-order too. So like you could pre-order a game comes out, you sit down, play for an hour. Like this is a pile of shit. Like Assassin's Creed Unity, for instance. Then even though it's a Uplay game, but you can't buy them through Steam, so you could get a refund technically, I guess there.
Yeah, exactly, right.
But new games that come out, I mean, it's going to give people a little bit more confidence to at least try it out. Since demos are pretty much dead in the PC gaming world, people have had to torrent games basically to demo them. It's basically what it's turned to. So I think this is great. This is awesome.
Yeah, really good thing. So I mean, 2 hours is completely fair. I think that's the of course there's going to be the people who abuse it, but you can't abuse 2 hours, right? It's like how are you going to abuse 2 hours?
I think the people that are going to buy the games, they were already going to buy them anyway, So people were going to pirate, they were already going to pirate the games. So I don't think, I just think this is good all the way around for everyone. I don't think, people that were going to maybe pirate the game, I don't see them really abusing it as much as, trying out a game because of the hassle that they're going to have to go through to get the refund. I mean, if it's an instantaneous thing, are you going to have to wait around for this refund? How long does it all take,
Yeah, see, that's one thing as well. How long are you going to have to wait for the refund? That's another issue as well because, But obviously, I think it's a great thing. And lastly, I'll say is like, if you can actually beat a game in less than 2 hours, that doesn't even deserve to be sold. So.
Well, hey, well, some of those. One thing that'll be interesting is like some of those episodic releases, like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. Some of those episodic releases are only a couple hours, so
Yeah, that'd be
you
interesting.
could fire through that pretty quickly if you were in a rush.
Yeah.
But I don't
But
know. Well, I guess time will tell if this is actually going to get abused and they're going to have to shut it down. But
but
I like it though because
yeah.
there's been games in the past like maybe like indie games like when it first came out like I think Stanley Parable is an example where
Yeah.
when it came out everyone was getting rave reviews, but I looked at it, I was like, do I really want to plop down $15 on this game?
Yeah.
Where now I could at least download it, try it out. If I don't like it in an hour, just give it back.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, well, that's pretty cool, man. I think that's we've touched base there. Let's move on to the
Yeah,
segue into the PayPal, eh?
yeah.
PayPal confirm.
The Steam sale is actually starting tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, June 11th. Or well,
Yep.
that's probably today for you, right?
Yeah.
It's
So,
June
well,
11th over there, but it starts over here on the 11th.
yeah. We'll see. I've actually got a lot of the times I buy my games off just third party websites like
Yeah,
G2A
I'm the
because
same.
well, it's because for me, like especially with me, I'm region locked in Japan to
Uh-huh.
the Japanese Steam, and man,
Oh,
if you
right.
thought like yeah, prices are hideous, man. Like they're disgusting on the Japanese Steam. Like you're paying $60 for a game, it's like I'm paying $90 for that
Wow,
game.
I
Yeah,
didn't think about that. I had no idea.
and it's so stupid because you can just get an international copy of the game. Like I just get a
Yeah.
UK key or whatnot. It works absolutely fine. I just save myself $50, and it's like, why are they seriously, man? They're just taking the Japanese to town with the with Steam, like, riding it all the way, riding that cash cow all the way,
Yep.
through Tokyo City there, and just like, hey guys, who's buying video games today?
Yeah.
So
And the thing I wanted to say on this is the last couple of Steam sales really I just haven't found anything stellar on there. I mean, I don't know how many times I could buy Skyrim for $5, but it's
yeah,
they always have like good games on there on sale and they're like amazingly cheap. And I remember like when the first couple of these like, really rolled around, it was like, wow, that's so cheap. I can get like Tomb Raider and Hitman Absolution for like $5, but now it's kind of become like what's the point? Otherwise known as a Tuesday on G2A. You could do it any day
well,
of the week on G2A or Kingwin or any of these other CD key sites that have spawned up as a result of G2A being out there. And the
yeah,
Steam
definitely,
sales, I
yeah.
think, suffer from that.
I think so too, but at least it gives Steam an idea that hey, like, you guys can do better prices. Maybe you should think about doing that. And so, I mean, like, yeah, how many times can you buy the same game, right? I mean, maybe there's multi boxes if you want a multi box
Yep.
Skyrim. Have 10 guys on the screen linked from the same keyboard and mouse. I mean, people used to do that in World of Warcraft. I actually tried it one time. It was pretty fun for leveling because you had like this level system where you could like if you had I think if you were leveling together, you got 3 times the exp, and so there was a lot of multi-boxing in WoW back in the day.
Uh,
But I don't think anyone's multi-boxing Skyrim, yeah.
I don't,
So,
I never got into WoW. That wasn't my
yeah.
thing.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't, man. It would have sucked the life out of you.
I think so. I tried it. I was just like, is any of this ever me not just getting stuff for people? That's what it felt like. The entire game was me getting things for people.
Oh, well, it's sort of, I think it's gone, like, WoW's kind of gone to crap. I mean, but that's a whole different topic for another day.
Yeah.
When it was first released, man, whoa, they just hit the mark,
Yeah.
like, so well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty, I'm happy with
Yeah.
what we
Well,
discussed, yeah.
yeah. We got Steam sale coming tomorrow. It remains to be seen if there's actually going to be anything on there worth buying. I mean, unless they got some like really new games that are
Yep.
still are like like even like new games like Arkham Knight is coming out. You could get that for like $25 on G2A. So, I mean, I'll be surprised if anything comes up on this summer sale that actually catches my eye that I need to buy. So, but yeah, it's going to be tomorrow, and I guess we'll see if anything comes out worth getting. And it looks like Brian's having an internet connection problem. This is what happens when we live stream with people from across the planet. So anyway, how you guys doing in the chat, by the way? I guess I'll talk to you guys. Got any questions while we wait for Brian to come back? Hey.
Yo, that was really some weird ass problem. I'm really sorry for that.
That's all right, man.
My mouse just completely froze. Like,
Yeah, your
I've
internet
never.
dropped too. I saw you leaning over there trying to do something.
Well, I was just replugging my mouse back in. That was just the weirdest problem I've ever had. Like, my mouse just froze. Everything else was working perfectly. I was like, okay, well, I got to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, hey, it's okay, man. This is the first episode. We're expected to have technical difficulties. It's the first episode.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, we got the R9-3.
I'll let you take it away on this one.
All right. So anyway, we got a WCCF Tech. They've announced the R9. I mean, yeah, I know. Look, we all take WCCF Tech news with a grain of salt, but it seems to be up to date, and it seems to. This one kind of seems like a little bit of a mixed bag here, because I mean, they're saying that there's going to be 2 new graphics cards, or 3, the Fury. So the Fury is going to be the new graphics card coming out from AMD, and everything else is going to be rehashed. And I mean, this is kind of, well, it's dangerous for AMD if they do this, man. Like, they need a new architecture. Like, you see Nvidia, every graphics card they're pushing out now is Maxwell, right? We got that new architecture, not only on the 980 Ti, we've got on the 970, the 960, even the 750 Ti. So if they're just going to roll with the previous architecture again, I mean, this is just the R9. So 7950 is still relevant. Like, that's a little bit, like a 7950 is still what? That would be the R9-380, yeah?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that was basically just a rehash. I mean, you could run, different generations of cards in Crossfire still. I mean, that's how similar they were, that you could run the 290 with the 7970 in Crossfire, no problem.
Yeah, see, and so this is really, I mean, as a company, they should, like, oh man, like, I mean, I saw, as I scrolled down, I saw a tombstone in the comments section, like, the AMD tombstone.
Was that in this article?
It was on one of them. I remember looking through the comments because they're hilarious, some of them, hey, in the WCCF Tech.
Oh my God, I'm looking at one right now. There's a woman crying, and some guy said, when Nvidia fanboys realize the Radeon Fury curb stomps their precious Titan X and far less. It's a woman crying.
Just some of the trolls in there. I just saw it. I remember seeing a tombstone. I just like, but that's what could be a possible reality. And man, I'm not going to beat on the AMD horse anymore, because I've said everything in the past that I've wanted to say about AMD as a company in my previous tech talks. Like, they need to make new products. That's what AMD needs to do. And I mean, they're doing that with Zen on the CPU side of things, but if they're just going to rehash their GPUs, man, especially nowadays, you've got a tech community that's wired in, man. We're all connected. We all communicate with each other.
Yeah, it's big now. It's big now. It's everywhere.
It's huge, right? You can't go to a store like, back in the year 2000. Hey, you'd go to a store and you'd kind of like be like, okay, here's the numbers here. We've got whatever they had back out there, 9600 or whatever. Okay, this number's almost as high as a 9800, therefore it should be okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
But like,
that's basically how it was. It's just like you just went there and got whatever matched the specs on the back of the game box that you were looking to get. It's like, okay, Half-Life 2 says I need this, so I want this. Give me Voodoo FX, please.
Yeah, and so it's a recommended set. I mean, there just wasn't like I wouldn't have thought of going on Google and looking for a review. But nowadays,
there was no Google. Okay, was there even a Google yet?
In 2000, maybe in the early infant stages, I forgot, but just like
I remember hearing about Google. I remember hearing about Google from the librarian in high school. We were in computer class in the library with like an 80-year-old librarian, and she's like, "Okay, class, when you're looking up things, you can go on many websites like Yahoo and Lycos and Google." And I'm like, "What the fuck is Google?" I'm using Yahoo, obviously.
I was using Alta Vista. That was the. I remember that were the days, hey. I remember I was just checking out like Zelda secret, like what things that I missed in the game anyway. I was like on Alta Vista. I remember that was like the rage. Yeah. All my console. I was a console peasant back before PC.
I had a separation. I started out PC, went to console, came back to PC. So sort of. Yeah, I mean, there was some
really, really good games on console though. Final Fantasy VII. I paid particular attention to that. That was amazing. Yeah. But we go, so basically what they got here, I mean, they're rehashing, man. This is like, again, like nowadays, someone can just go on Google, R9 390X performance, price performance. They're probably going to get a list of videos, a list of things that say, hey, this card doesn't, it uses up more power. It doesn't perform as well as the GTX 970 and whatnot. Like, that's a possibility, right? GTX 980.
Absolutely.
And so that information is just so readily available that people are going to realize, hey, the R9-390X is just an R9-290X. And so if that's happening, man, this is going to be really bad for that market share as well, the AMD market share, which is, as I read recently, which has only dropped. So
yeah, and I've had so many people in the chat since I did my 980 Ti reviews up on the channel. Yeah. So people saying like, "Oh, this is really good, but I'm going to wait for the 390X." It's like, well, it's like even if the 390X came out tomorrow and by some miracle it was neck and neck in performance with the 980 Ti, I would still take the 980 Ti over it for two reasons. One, Nvidia GameWorks technology, which is really nice to have, and second is superior driver support. They just Nvidia has a history of delivering drivers faster and better drivers, more efficient, and they get them out like before games come out. You know, Witcher 3 came out, they had a driver the day the game came out. GTA 5 came out, they had a driver the day the game came out. AMD didn't have a driver until a week after Witcher 3 came out with the crossfire support and all that stuff. So
that's just them. They're kind of falling behind there. I mean, that's just right. You look at they're laying off staff, man. That impacts the company. So as the money goes down, so does the quality of the company, quality of the products. This just spans through the whole company. And so I've critiqued AMD in the past. They need to get some money. They need to get some outsource of cash into the company, start really putting money back into R&D, getting products, lifting up their staff. Because, like I'm going to say, like, if you lay off staff, right, it just doesn't have an effect on saving money. It has an effect on the whole workforce, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if you're working with someone and they're suddenly laid off? Like, I know, for instance, if one of my friends was laid off at work, I'd be working like crap for a pretty long time. I'd feel down, like you've just lost a colleague, Yeah. And so then, these are things that you don't think about when you're just laying off staff. I mean, I think they don't. So that'll span through with driver updates, whatnot. So, I really think AMD need to just go outsource some cash, some monster cash, and really lift their game. And that's something I've critiqued in the past.
Yeah,
with the Nvidia drivers though, it was funny though. You point that out. Like the Kepler series got a big hitch on the Witcher 3. That was a lot of my viewers wanted me to talk about that, and I did. I made that in that announcement video, and I was pretty disappointed with that. I hope I don't want to see. I don't want to see any more of that happening.
Yeah, whether it was intentional or something like that. Some people, I know, obviously there were, people out there saying, oh, they did this intentionally. They wanted to gimp the old hardware so people would upgrade, things like that.
Well, with the track record of like not just Nvidia, Intel, and AMD, right? They all want to make money.
Yeah.
And so of course that's a possibility. And so you can't put it past, the people who raise those issues. And so I think going in from now, I mean, just me as the way I am, I would give them the benefit of the doubt this time around. But, if it happens again, then that's pretty obvious. You know what I mean? So That's why I said, don't let this happen again, Nvidia, because we all know Nvidia can make, those drivers right on time. If it was a couple of days, okay, but it was like, what was it, 2 weeks or something? Or
it was the Witcher came out, and the new driver just came out this past week when the 780 Ti dropped, basically. A few days before that, basically last Monday.
No, the 980 Ti, sorry.
980 Ti. I keep saying 780 Ti. It's 980 Ti. I got to get that in there.
Well, 780 Ti was a beast of a card, man. That's no denying that.
Apart from those 2 weeks when Witcher 3 came out, where the 780 Ti was actually neck and neck with the 960 in Witcher 3.
Yeah, see, that was pathetic. And that's, that was pathetic, right?
It's like, wait, the 960 is outperforming a 780 Ti? How does that work?
And so that's right. Everyone had their right to be pissed off. It was pathetic, man.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back. It also kind of transitions us into the next topic, as you were talking about the R&D with AMD, and they put so much into their APU side of things, and the GPUs and the CPUs have really suffered. And they put so much money into their APUs, and now here they are getting stomped into the ground by Intel.
Sorry. Before we get into Broadwell though, we'll talk about FuryX though. Yeah, we got that article up here though. Apparently, the new card coming out from AMD is the Fury.
We don't have it. We don't even know when that's coming out yet.
Yeah, and so that's like, I mean, actually, Linus on Twitter. I saw his Twitter. He posted a Fury thing, but was that just for Kingston? Was that Kingston Fury, or was that any indication that Kingston are working with AMD? That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. I think they've been using the Fury name for a while, haven't they?
Yeah. So
HyperX
yeah,
Fury.
I guess so. Yeah, but what we're looking at here is 4,096 stream processors on Fury, and they've also got an air-cooled version with 3,584 stream processors. This looks like pretty. Like I would agree with this. This looks about what Fury should be.
Yep.
But I will say then that TDP 300 watts. That's pretty monster.
Yeah,
Like,
that's serious.
so does that mean is that an indication that they're still just using the same architecture but just bashing more of those stream processors in there?
Definitely a
And
possibility. I mean, but they're using the high bandwidth memory. Though that's going to be really interesting to see how that performs.
doesn't yeah, that'll be interesting too. But it doesn't say anything about the GPU die size, which is something that I'm interested in seeing because if it's even bigger than the R9-290X, then there's kind of your answer. Yeah, they're just shoving more cores, more power.
Yeah, the Fury X and the Fury really those are what really seem to be the next generation of AMD graphics cards, and everyone's waiting on the 390X, but that's looking like that's just going to be a rehash, and this is maybe going to be an amped up rehash.
Well, it's something. Well, it's something new. So at least it's something new. At the end of the day, I mean, AMD had but AMD can get excited about. Like, I mean, AMD fanboys can get excited about this because it'll be a new product, and hopefully, it does really go head to head with Nvidia's 980 Ti. I mean, I think what they're like I said before, like I hope they're waiting out for a node shrink. I mean, if they got the node shrink on the FuryX, that would really give it a performance boost, especially if they're dropping down to 40 or whatever it was rumored 16 nanometer. If they were dropping down to that, that would give them that performance boost. It would give them those power savings. And so if they're doing that, if they're definitely waiting out for that on their high-end models, that could be a great card to look out for. So it just depends, right? And yes, I mean
I'm interested to see it. I hope it comes out and kicks serious ass because otherwise Nvidia has no real reason to really press the envelope. I mean, for Nvidia to be good, AMD needs to be a little bit better so that Nvidia can improve. Otherwise, they're just going to sit on cruise control with what they got until AMD can actually challenge them in the market.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's yeah. So I mean, we're all hoping. I mean, we're all hoping that the FuryX comes out sooner than later, and it's really good. So yeah,
hopefully before the end of the year. I'm hoping by like September or something like that we could see that and start seeing some numbers rolling from it.
Yeah. I mean, that's me as well. I'm hoping we could get some positive numbers out of this. So anyway, man, that's I think that covers FuryX. So if anyone's got any questions about that, they can drop a comment in the comment section below. So we'll move on to Broadwell, yeah? So we'll quickly move on to Broadwell.
Yeah, move on to Broadwell, which kind of silently released this week. And really the most impressive thing that we've seen on it, though, is the integrated graphics and the benchmarks on that. It's just really...
Yeah.
It's kicking AMD's APU's asses. I mean, I'm looking here on this first benchmark, BioShock Infinite, running at 1920 by 1080. This is low settings. But it's getting, on the i7, it's getting almost 90 frames average compared to the highest end AMD APU, which is getting just under 60. I mean, you could take that new Intel integrated graphics, probably drop this down to like medium high settings mixed with no anti-aliasing, and still getting 60 frames on just integrated CPU graphics. That's really impressive.
So yeah, I mean, like I'm going to say first off, for the desktop, it's pretty much, as us enthusiasts know, the iGPUs are still, going to give you not a good experience, right? But where I like the iGPU in this case would be on a laptop, man. I can see this giving you a really good experience on a laptop with that battery time, So something like this is a really good example of what could work, especially in another 2 gens, man. You could have a really cool low-powered laptop gaming PC. So, another gen or 2, it depends. But this is something I was worried about, like AMD, I think they still got the price to performance right with their APUs. Like they're still, really good in that regard. But in terms of having, like I remember 2 years ago, it was like APUs, man, they kicked the shit out of Intel. This is what some, people would say. And I was like, yeah, but who's buying, like, who's actually buying these APUs? Like, they got the console deals. I know they got the console deals, but they didn't make, and I critique this in the past, they didn't make enough money out of the money that they invested into the R&D into the APUs. They invested a shitload of money into APUs.
They basically threw all their eggs in that basket.
And this is what happened now. This is the reality. Intel is now beating them. at their own game pretty much, and it makes me sad because there's all that R&D cash essentially gone now. Like it's throw it in the toilet because you got Intel, they're up on top now on the iGPU side of things with Iris Pro. And so that's what makes me sad because I've critiqued that in the past. I thought AMD should have never jumped into the APU boat. I think they should have just focused on CPUs, focused on GPUs where they were good at it, and then maybe utilized, whatever, ARM. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they could have played it out a lot smarter, but they wasted so much money on APUs, and I've critiqued that in the past. I think it's.
There was one thing I was curious about this with the new Intel CPUs. Maybe you know, because I didn't really read up too much on this, but
Yeah.
is this being as reliant as the APUs were for memory speeds? Is because the APUs really depended on how fast your memory was and all that.
Okay, well, see, this time around, it's really interesting. They've got a new segment of level 4 cache on there. It's 128 megabytes that's dedicated to the iGPU side of things. And something that's interesting, though, and I will point this out about that Broadwell review, is that the level 3 cache has gone down. So that's gone down to 4 megabytes on the i5 and 6 megabytes. So they're kind of like, I guess they're making up, they're cost-cutting little smart ways. And so, yeah, I mean, it's got its dedicated portion on the CPU for the graphics card. So I think memory speeds, again, won't matter too much, especially on the Intel side of things. It doesn't matter too much.
Right.
Because you look at, like, I've done benchmarks in the past. A lot of people know this already, that Intel have a much better IMC, and it performs much better than AMD's IMC. That's the integrated memory controller. And so, Intel doesn't rely on memory speeds as much as it is on AMD, where the IMC is weaker. And so you need those higher speed memories to get the better performance, if that's making any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, memory issues, you probably still run this CPU fine at like 1333 megahertz DDR3. So you probably won't see a difference in performance because it's got that dedicated 128 megabytes now on board as well. So, but one thing I will say is it's interesting about Tom's and Anantech as well. Something I will critique is it's the first time I've seen a review out of these guys, an actual review of a CPU where they've got an overclockable CPU and they haven't overclocked it.
Yeah, that's just like why. It's like why have they decided not to overclock it? That's like one of the most important things I'm going to ask the question about is, how far can this thing go?
Exactly right, and that's a lot of people want to know because it's it makes me wonder: is this a review or is it a showcase? So I mean, and one thing that's scary is you look at those yields, right? You look at the stock clocks on the i5; it's 3.1 gigs, turbos up to 3.3 gigs, and then you look at the i7, and that's like does that only go to like 3.7 gigs or something, 3.7 gigahertz? I mean, when the i7 4770K was released, that went up to 3.9 gigahertz.
Yeah, and the 4790 now is at 4.
So what we're essentially seeing is lower yields. We're seeing lower yields on the 14 nanometer, which shouldn't be happening.
No, I was expecting to just see something more power efficient, but still delivering the same power, if not more. But just, more power efficient, and it just seems like they've kind of taken a step backwards almost.
Well, it does. It seems like they're having legitimate problems with the 14 nanometer process there. And so this is why I guess they don't want to show the overclocking results, because this will segue into Skylake. Skylake's based on that exact same 14 nanometer node.
Yeah.
The architecture's different, but they're based on the same technology there. So if 14 nanometer Broadwell is performing bad, then that's going to kind of give us an indication that 14 nanometer Skylake won't overclock as well as the previous gen Haswells and Ivy Bridges. And so this is a big problem for them if they're going to sell their CPUs to the desktop market. Like, it's a huge problem because no one's going to have a reason to upgrade.
No, especially when Skylake comes out anyway, people are gonna have to buy a whole new motherboard. So if it's gonna really make that much of a difference, why make the leap forward? I mean, unless you're really way back there on like first gen Intel or something, there's really not much of a reason to upgrade. Apart from
exactly,
I mean, I was looking at the next article we were going to go to, the Skylake one. They were saying on here that they are promising there's going to be some more PCI lane support, but on the 1151 socket. But
Yep.
how high is that going to go? I mean, are we expecting to see the regular i7s now supporting 3 and 4-way SLI? Is that going to become a thing? Because that would be really exciting if that's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
come to the consumer level market and not just on like the X99 platform, which is way too expensive for a gaming setup.
Well, I think they definitely know that people want. I mean, especially I think maybe Nvidia want to push. I mean, you've got graphics cards coming to the stage now where they will be utilizing PCI 3. Look at the 980 Ti, and as graphics cards get bigger and better, they obviously they need more bandwidth, and so yeah, you will probably want to see on, especially even like i7s, the 4-core 8-threaded CPUs, you want to see that 32 lanes there, so you can get an X16 setup.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a possibility. I mean, I'd love to see more information about it, exactly how many PCIe lanes Skylake's going to get, but I'm back onto those yields though. I actually didn't finish talking up about that. So like if we've got the average Skylake CPU only going, say for instance, we've got all the i7 4790Ks going up to 4.4 gigahertz. If we're only got the average Skylake going up to 4 gigahertz, there's 400 megahertz difference, right? So, I mean, I don't like it. It makes it like, is this going to be a good buy? Is this CPU going to be a good buy? And if those yields aren't as good as Haswell, then it's not going to be a good buy, right? So
no, definitely. I mean, definitely not if the speeds aren't there, and not if it doesn't overclock as well, and not if if you're not able to get it up to as high as Haswell, then really no reason to make the switch over at all.
Yeah, and I know a lot of my viewers are looking forward to Skylake, especially myself, because I know it's that team that designed the Sandy Bridge architecture, which was huge. I mean, Sandy Bridge was pretty big. And so a lot of people are looking forward to Skylake because they know they got two teams at Intel that designed the architectures, and now it's the team that designed the Sandy Bridge architecture. So those guys are going to come in and they're going to be bringing out Skylake. So a lot of people have been looking forward to Skylake, but I got my reservations now with these Broadwell results, especially with the overclocking figures not being released yet.
Yeah, and also it's kind of interesting. It's so silently released too. I mean, I'm not really seeing Broadwell covered anywhere. I mean, I haven't seen any of the big tech channels like Jay's 2 Cents or Linus or anyone really covering it. I mean, you would expect. I mean, the last time I remember an Intel chip coming out, Linus got this thing that looked like R2-D2, where like the CPU rose out of the top like out of Robot. Like, cause, like, where's all that?
You got some nuclear,
yeah. Where's that for Broadwell? I mean, it's like they don't even want people to know about it. It's like, no, we just want to focus on Skylake. Motherboards are already set to come out in like in the late summer, and the CPUs shortly after that. So
yeah, it's weird, right? They wouldn't want people to know about their product that they want to sell and make money off. It's kind of weird, right? So
I couldn't even find it on Amazon. I went on Amazon. I looked up the i775C something like that. It doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. It's only got 2.5 stars on there, and it was like $400 and something. So I was just like, it's like, where does this CPU actually fit in?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's I mean, yeah. I don't know, right? It's the sad thing is Intel have invested a lot of money into this 14 nanometer node, so they're going to want to be making money out of it. So I think, man, I hope they, I mean, the server market is obviously where they're going to be targeting with Skylake. There's a lot of money there, but if they can't get those those yields high enough, that it's going to spell danger for the desktop market, which is arguably a pretty profitable market for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, I mean, let's move on now to another topic, I guess, because a lot of the
we already kind of touched on the Skylake here. I mean, basically, just all we know right now on Skylake is that more PCI lanes, and we've got boards coming out at the end of the summer, and then probably going to see the CPUs in September. But other than that, really not too much information here, unless you have anything you want to add on it.
And we've got obviously the possibility of low yields as well. So that's and a kick-ass iGPU, but doesn't really matter for us.
Yeah, for enthusiast gamers, everyone's more going to be buying dedicated graphics anyway. But it'll be interesting to see its implementations for laptops, mobile gaming, and things like that. But for real PC gamers, enthusiast gamers, really not going to make that much of a difference. And speaking of gaming, that brings us into our next topic, which is a gaming topic, as we've been on tech here for a little bit. We did have the Fallout 4 trailer come out. this past week. Now, before I go into this, I want to be honest about this, that I've not been a big fan of the Fallout series.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I mean, I've got into it. I mean, it is a good game in ways, right? It requires you to think. I mean, I remember I played Fallout 2, but I haven't, like I personally haven't been a big fan of the Fallout series as well. I'm going to be the first to admit that. And
I would say the same for Elder Scrolls for me. I've never found the characters really engaging or the stories as good compared to something like maybe like a BioWare or a Witcher, you know?
Elder Scrolls, man, I've always just done like stupid shit. Like my last character was like a full cat man with a big two-handed axe.
I've never got that far into an Elder Scrolls game where I could even turn into something else. Like that, and that always seemed like the cool shit. But I feel like there was such a high barrier of entry. Like I had to do so much other stuff before I could do the cool shit. I was just like, I just want to do cool shit. I don't want to sneak around and steal pocket purses and do things like this. I want to do cool stuff.
Well, for me, it's just always been like, my character's a joke in that game. For me, it's always been when I paid serious attention to the role-playing aspect. I've loved the Dungeons and Dragons series games like Baldur's Gate 2, man. Whoa, I got into that. But,
that was one of my first like really good RPGs I really sat down and played that was like, wow, this is like what games was meant to be like, or RPGs anyway are meant to be like.
Yeah, so you got immersed in the character creation. With Skyrim was kind of like, for me, I was like, all right, all these character models look pretty crap from the get-go. I'm just going to bang in a Catman with a two-handed axe, just go around destroying people. So that's what I did with Skyrim. I mean, Fallout 4, I mean, look, I think it's something for these big companies, right? Like nowadays I noticed a lot of companies are just going on the hype train. They're announcing these games and they're expecting people to jump on the hype train. And so, I mean, I found that with Shadows of Mordor, they got hyped up. I mean, I thought a lot of people were paid off to do reviews for that game because I thought differently. I thought it wasn't as good as it cracked up to be in some reviews, like, oh, this is the best game of the century.
I couldn't believe it had like game of the year nominations. That was like, I thought it was okay, but it was really just Batman with a sword and kind of bits of Assassin's Creed in there. It's really what it was.
And Mr. Broad Shoulders, like you've never seen shoulders this broad before. This is going to carry the game. But like for me,
they brought in the Nemesis system, which was like everyone was heralding as being the really, really original aspect of that game. But honestly, I got bored of that really quick because everyone just keeps getting promoted, and it's kind of an endless stream of things. But back to Fallout.
It's Fallout 4, yeah,
Fallout 4. We got way off tangent there.
I'll just quickly let you go. I just got to fix my audio quickly. Just wait.
Yeah, sure.
So just you shoot off about Fallout 4. I'll be listening. Don't worry.
All right. Yeah. So I saw the Fallout 4 trailer, and I thought it looked good. It definitely looked better than previous ones, graphically speaking. Anyway, I mean, I know that's not the major thing, but we haven't seen any gameplay yet, so we really don't have anything else to go on. But we could see here the trailer. A screenshot from the trailer, and then this is compared to like Fallout 3. So you can definitely see they've improved the textures a little bit. It's still obviously it's not as good as looking as like a Witcher 3 or a GTA 5. It's not that good looking, but it is better looking. But it still kind of has almost like that sort of like Source engine look to it, which doesn't really amaze me. But then again, there's one thing we can be assured of: this game will not be getting a graphical downgrade. We could be almost certain that that's not going to happen because that would be a hell of a thing to downgrade the graphics from this. I mean, it is an open world, so I can kind of forgive them, and it's their art style. But I would have liked to have seen them push the engine a little bit further this time around because it's just
I'm looking at the dog.
Looks like a game from like 8 years ago.
I am. I'm looking at the dog. It looks pretty bad. Like I'm looking at the dog here.
Yeah,
I've got that trailer it's next to an old gas station thing.
Yeah,
and a tire. That looks pretty bad. I mean, I'm pulling up on my monitor. But again, if it's open world, I will forgive them in that sense because open world games are pretty intense, right? Especially if like it's hard to say, right? Some open world games, if it's too good, man, the computers will just die. Like,
which begs the question is, I don't know how Witcher did it. Witcher's like an anomaly because GTA it doesn't look anywhere near as good as Witcher, and it performs, nowhere near as good as it, and uses way more video memory, all that stuff.
See, my personal take on graphics though is that gameplay still comes first. Like, I think graphics have got to a stage where they can be good enough, but gameplay has to be good. Like for me now, you can have the best looking game in the world, but if the gameplay is shit, I won't want to play it. So I think nowadays, I mean, I'd like to see better graphics out of Fallout 4, especially since it's getting, put on the hype train. but I think the gameplay, if the gameplay is really good, then this will carry the game. Hands,
Yeah.
no questions.
Well, I hope it's got good gameplay, but more than that, I mean, I don't think I'll be able to put up with the gameplay unless the story and the characters are there, which I've
Yeah,
never really seen in a Bethesda
yeah,
RPG yet. For me, anyway. I know Fallout and Elder Scrolls have their major fans out there,
yeah.
but just for me, it's never really been there. The characters have always seemed really, really stale, and just the story's kind of humdrum, and nothing really could drew me into those games to make me want to complete them. And I've never completed a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls game as a result of
Yeah.
that.
Well, it actually got me thinking when I put on
Your
my
video's locked up. Just so
Oh
you know.
yeah, it
Oh,
did.
there you go.
Yeah,
It,
it does
it
it.
fixed
Yeah.
it. There you go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So sorry, man. I just something's happening here with the Japanese Logicool webcam. I think that's probably it. It's not a Logitech. It's actually the Logicool ripoff.
Oh
But
no.
it's still the same company. Still the same company. Just. But sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say going back into this, like I had like I mean this is completely off topic, but I put on my Venom shirt last night, but I'd really like to see some different games come out, like an actual game where they give Venom the main character.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I loved Venom as a
yeah.
kid.
Yeah, see, Venom was just badass, man. And I think, like I'd like to see some sort of different games coming out for me. It's like, you got like this year, you got Black Ops 3 coming out, which this time around, I am really not excited for.
My
And so,
God, makes me gag to even think about that.
But I did get excited because I do enjoy my casual game of COD, and I think I actually play it for more health reasons, like because it actually helps with my reactions. That's what I think. Like I'm catching plates in the kitchen. Like my wife's like, "How did you catch that plate?" Like when it fell off or whatever. My baby drops a drink, I'll be catching it midair, and I dead set I I put that down to playing FPS casually. I think it does help with your reaction speeds and your awareness.
Absolutely.
So I do enjoy a very casual, easy to play shooter, but I'm just not excited for Black Ops 3 this time. And so I think with games, I'd like to see them go completely new. And so when I put on my Venom shirt last night, I was like, damn, I would love to see a game where Venom's the main character.
Yeah, I mean, off topic, but very good point because Venom was absolutely
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Another one that just before we move on from the Spider-Man universe was some Maximum Carnage. We've never seen him in like
Oh,
he hasn't
I
had a
love him
game.
too.
He hasn't had a game since the Sega Genesis, where it was probably the Mega Drive for you.
I played that, man. That was
such
badass.
that was like one of
Yeah.
the best games. I got that game because I sold my original Nintendo and all my games to what was before GameStop was Funko Land. That's what they were called before
Yep.
GameStop. Sold all my games to them
Yep.
for like 5 cents each, and wound up getting I still had to borrow like $10 from my dad. I was like
Yeah.
11 years old, and I got Maximum Carnage on the Sega Genesis, and I got home, and
Yeah.
it was awesome because he was one of my favorite
Yeah.
characters from the comics, and ever since
wish I
then
had a
he's just
beer,
been.
man.
I was like, why can't you put him into a movie? Like, well, because he's a serial killer rapist, and he's not really marketable to kids. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but he's cool. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that he was there. That like him and Carnage, Venom and Carnage were just badass, man. I really liked.
That would be an
Really,
awesome
that
movie
game,
right there.
I-
Venom versus Carnage, Alien versus Predator. Watch out.
Yeah, like that's it, right? It'd trump Alien vs Predator, man. Especially since they sort of canned the movies, man. Those movies were bad. Like
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
I
I like the last
remember-
Predator movie though. Predators. That was good. I like that. That was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah. The Predators was pretty good, but the Alien vs Predator series, I just watched it like kind of like face palmed. How many countless times?
Yeah.
So
So, anyway, even though we've gotten way off topic here, let's move on to the
Yeah.
next actual scheduled topic, which we just came out of Computex, and there was a lot of things coming out of it. So there was one thing I wanted to focus on specifically, since I did have some experience sort of with this. Is we got a new ROG Swift coming, which I sort of actually predicted back in my video, and it's
Yeah.
going to be an IPS. No surprise there. So basically, they're looking to compete with the Acer XB270HU, which is sitting in front of me right now, and it's an
Yeah.
absolutely amazing monitor, and I totally recommend it. My review's coming for that soon.
Yep.
But if this comes out and it's still going against Asus's quality control issues, that's my main concern. And I mentioned this to Brian earlier before I give you a chance to speak. The first image on here, look at this. This is the show floor model at Computex, and we already see backlight bleed and IPS glow on the show floor model. So what does that tell you about the Asus Swift series? Like, is it really worth waiting for their IPS panel if it's already got IPS glow and backlight bleed on the
Yeah,
fucking show floor?
I'm putting that photo up right now. It looks pretty bad. Like, I mean, like maybe they should have just got some special clear coat of spray paint or something and sprayed it on.
It's like, hey, but they added the ROG logo to the base, so you gotta love that.
Well, like, I mean, they're putting up fancy LEDs in the stands, and I've critiqued companies in the past before about putting fancy LED lights in and all this marketing crap, but you got to get the product right from the get-go. I mean, I'd rather just a plain black model and a beautiful screen.
I liked the aesthetic of this monitor. I like the fact that it was matte. I like that it didn't have the glossy finish. That's really one of my only complaints about this Acer is this glossy finish on it. It's actually reflective on the inside of it, and I can see like around the border, I could see like certain colors reflecting on it, which does annoy me a little bit.
Well, cosmetically, it's a nice monitor, but as I said before, for me, it's always product and, utility come first. If you've got a crap screen, wow, that thing's getting shipped back to where it came from ASAP, Like,
that's
if
what
I
it
got
came down to, really, for me.
Yeah, I mean, if I got one of these, and I saw the ROG, the TN version at the store, and I put it on my Twitter.
Yeah, when I saw this display model looking like this, that's what it reminded me of. What you were telling me about the one you saw in the store.
It was disgusting, man. It was like cross-hatching, freaking whatever, you name it, this thing had it. Like, it looked disgusting. And this is a show floor model, I think Asus would tell kind of the people, like, hey, guys, at least put on a good display model so we can sell some monitors. Like
yeah, because I focused so much of my review on the issues that I had, the two monitors being damaged basically and not working. Yep. But besides that, the viewing angles, and you can vouch for this because you said you saw it in the store. The viewing angles and the colors. I mean, how bad was it?
It was pretty bad. Like,
it's one of the worst ever, right?
So yeah, I wouldn't be paying $1,000 for this. Like, that's how much they cost in Japan, the TN versions. I wouldn't be paying $1,000 when I can get these Korean panels that I got here for $300 or $350. Delivered to my door. That's about when you convert the yen to the US dollar and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've got two of these panels, and it's still cheaper than a ROG Swift. And I'd rather have these panels any day of the week. They come, calibrated out of the factory, bang. They just look gorgeous, no cross-hatching or any of that crap to worry about. Of course, they don't go up to 144 hertz, and that's where I was saying, like, with the Acer panel being released, the IPS version especially, I mean, that thing got glowing reviews already. I mean, you look at the input lag, pretty much the best input lag you can get out there. Those response times on the Acer, as low as it gets for an IPS panel, that's going to be hard to beat.
It's not bad, honestly. I thought that was going to be an issue with me, but I started playing around on like Twitch shooters and Battlefield. I couldn't notice anything. I mean, everything felt good to me. There was like no noticeable input lag whatsoever. It felt just like I was gaming back on my old 1080 144 hertz screen. It just looked a hell of a lot better doing it.
Well, for me, the easiest test for me is to pull up a MOBA game. And especially, like, I pull up a game called Heroes of New Earth, and is to actually have the character moving on your screen. And if you can read the text while he's moving, that's a good indication that there's pretty low response, like pretty good response times on your monitor. So with my TN panel, I could read the text just so clearly. On these Korean IPS panels, there's a bit of ghosting, and I can notice that when I try to read that text on the fly. And so that's a good test if you're looking for ghosting on an IPS panel, just a real world test. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because since it's happening in a game, and so like Acer have kind of really set the standard. I think from what I hear, I haven't tried one, but with that monitor that they released, what is it? The
XB270HU. They are having some quality control issues as well, though. I did have one quality issue with this. It's kind of like almost like a smudge behind the panel. And I'm going to cover that in my review that I hope to have out next week because I got to try to capture it on camera to be able to show people. But it's not bad enough where I would consider returning it. I'm keeping this monitor because it's an absolutely beautiful screen, and other than this minor issue, it's absolutely perfect.
So overall, it's a pretty good monitor. It's
an excellent monitor. I would recommend it.
Well, see, that's it. Like, now that, especially with those low input lag figures, which is a lot of people who are, maybe aspiring pro gamers, because, hey, let's face it, the gaming industry is huge now. Like, it's a big kettle of fish. And, input lag, I've covered this in the past. Input lag is so important. Like, it is actually more important than you think it is.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely. 1 millisecond
like
to 2 milliseconds. Like, oh, it's not that much. Well, it's double.
yeah, and so
It literally is
like
double.
but you look at Samsung monitors. I used to have a Samsung monitor, and the input lag was pretty bad on the monitor. And now my rating in Heroes New Earth, it dropped down to 1700. This is in the MMR bracket. I got these Korean panels. Rating went back up to 1800. So that's how much of a difference input lag can make.
Yeah.
And so if you're in clutch situations, like if you're playing these games competitively, and it all comes down. Sorry, my mic pop.
I've done it. It's okay.
Yeah, if you come down to a competitive situation, it's all about the clutch plays. And that's when, like, you're in a battle, you got this guy versus this guy. Whoever does that thing a split second faster will win the battle. Everyone knows that. Anyone who's worth a grain of their salt in the pro gaming scene knows how important input lag is. And so the fact that Acer have released this beautiful panel that's got the lowest input lag I've seen according to reviews, then that's going to be hard to beat. That's pretty much the standard out there at the moment. So
Jason Bullitt had a question in chat. He wanted to know what the game you were talking about that you said to test response time that you were using with the text.
Heroes in New Earth, free to play. I think you could do it on Dota 2. I haven't tried it on Dota 2 personally because I haven't got my TM panel here at the moment.
Yeah.
You can just download Heroes in New Earth. It's the Earth is ERTH, not actual Earth. Like, take the A out. So Heroes in New Earth. And you can download that for free. It's actually a pretty good game. I really like it. It's a good MOBA game. It's my favorite MOBA game, although I'm playing Dota 2 now because all my friends play Dota 2. And I get better pings. So and I like one of the heroes in Dota 2. He's called Tusk. He just walrus punches these people in the air. So it's pretty cool.
So the next monitor that I wanted to touch on it's basically the same type of thing, but this time it's 4K IPS, which I think is going to be the answer to a lot of 4K people's prayers. There's a lot of 4K monitors out there, but it seems like some have the features you want, but others are missing, and it looks like they are kind of bringing everything into one place here. Although this. And it is G-Sync as well. G-Sync 4K IPS, so checks all those boxes. But once again, it's an ROG Swift. So how much stock can you put in that? And this is a stock photo here, so we have no idea how bad the IPS glow is behind that overlaid image they put there. But it could be just as horrendous as the other one. And this is why I'm not buying one. This is why I'm buying a Korean 4K panel that's stuck in customs right now. But I'm waiting.
Yeah, well, it's 60 hertz. That's something that this would obviously be one of those monitors that would sort of bridge the gap between, hey, who wants to be, I guess, editing videos, playing games at 4K? Because I would, honestly, me personally, I want to get a 144 hertz monitor. Like, I can tell the difference between 120 hertz and 60 hertz. I love the fluidity of 120 hertz. It's beautiful, man. And so for me, my next upgrade will be 120 hertz, and I'd rather a 1440p 120 hertz panel over a 4K. That's just me personally. But for those 4K lovers, this is definitely a solution that looks pretty good, especially since it's IPS, right? A lot of the 4K models that we've seen are TN panels, and man, like, I prefer a 1440p IPS panel over a 4K TN. We've got a 4K TN at work. Man, the 1440p panel that I got here, a 1440p one, it looks better. Yeah. Like, it just looks better. And that's, like, pretty much the same size. Yeah. It looks better than a 4K, right? So it's like, okay, well, if you want to make a 4K monitor, make it IPS at the very least.
And my other thing is also make it bigger, because 27 inches at 4K, it's honestly, it's way too small. You're going to have so many scaling issues. If you go on Windows, default, and you try to use their scaling, it's going to look absolutely horrible.
Well, see, for me, I'm going to say how good of a sweet spot 1440p is at 27 inch.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Scaling, it looks really good.
Yeah, like, for 1440, that sweet spot is 27 inch, just like 24 was for 1080, and for 4K, I think it's 40 inches, which is why that's what I'm getting in my Korean panels, a 40 inch 4K screen.
Yeah. See, I kind of like that scale.
Then you don't have those scaling issues.
Yeah. Well, I think like 36 inch that could work as well.
Probably be okay.
It needs to be bigger though. I mean, 27 is really small for 4K, and I mean
everything's going to be like you're not even going to be able to
ooh,
read like the clock. You're going to have to squint to read the clock. It's going to be that small.
yeah, like you just get your magnifying glass out there. Whoop, you have to have like one that'll fold down.
Yeah.
You just check out the text. Okay, I can read everything now.
Yeah, and my main interest really for getting one is it's not for gaming, so I don't really care too much about the whole G thing. Mine is basically for video editing.
Editing.
I want to have that full 1080 preview screen. I want to have all that because I've seen what it was like going from 1080 to 1440, and like when I had to send back my Swift and edit on 1080p again, I wanted to cry.
Yeah,
it's like what I got like 3 timelines here, and it's like all squished. It's like no, you just can't go back.
Well, see, yeah, that's why I got two 1440p monitors, man. Editing videos has never been better. Like, you just got all your menus on one screen, you've got your actual timeline on the other screen. You know, it's a breeze to edit videos with two 1440p monitors, especially compared to a 1080p monitor. I think a good 4K monitor will make that even better, especially if you've got 2 of those. So I'm looking forward to your thoughts and opinions on that 4K monitor that you get through, man. That'll be really good.
Yeah, if England ever wants to release it out of customs, I will definitely have it to review. It's just sitting there right now, as far as I know. But I think that wraps up on the panels. Do you want to do the one more that one throwaway story? Do you want to go to a couple questions before you got to go? Because I know you said you had to go after an hour.
Oh, actually, well, my wife's got the day off today, man, and she's taking care of the little one downstairs a moment. So we can give the fans another 10, 15 minutes. That should be pretty cool.
All right, so we're gonna go. Okay, so here's what we'll do is right now we're gonna fire into this one last story really quick. But right now, if you have any questions, tweet them out to @TechGamingWeekly. The link is down in the description below. We'll get your questions in, then we'll go in and we'll start answering your questions. And while you guys are asking those questions, we'll talk a little bit about this story here. I think that'll work. So go ahead, fire your questions away now. The link is the Twitter handle is on your screen @TechGamingWeekly, and we'll get to your questions in about 5 minutes. But go ahead with the last news story. I'll let you bring this in.
Oh yeah. So anyway, an old lady just went and gave all her stuff to a recycling yard, and one of those was a Gen 1 Apple computer. Now this computer was they allegedly got it and they sold it for $200,000, and it's like she doesn't even know about it.
Yeah.
And they feel so guilty that they want to give her $100,000. And it's like, wow, how do people dump 200,000? It's like, here's 200,000. I don't even know about it. It's like, man, I could use that money. I could do like 10 years of tech videos and live. It's like,
that's a lot of non-80 Ti's. It's a lot of non-80 Ti's.
It's like, man, the world sucks sometimes when you read news like this. It's like, oh man, I'm so jealous. Just 200,000, give it away. Like, don't even know about it. It's like nothing. And here I am just struggling I get paid potato chips from YouTube still, you know. So
I think we're all getting paid in potato chips by YouTube, but they're delicious potato chips. Unfortunately, I can't eat them right now because I just had surgery. But yeah. Yeah,
well, they're actually. I mean, they are good tasting potato chips, you know. So
it's always nice to earn a potato chip doing something that you love, and that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, that's always, man. That's why we do it, right? It's the love of the tech. I love doing this stuff, man. This gig is really good. So yeah, I mean, that wraps it up. She gave away 200,000. I was like, whoa, you know, especially a Gen 1. There was only ever 200 made, I think. So that's insane when I read that.
Yeah.
So it's like even if it doesn't work.
Yeah, the one thing I was talking about yesterday is I couldn't believe that they were trying to contact her to give her the money back, and you actually told me an interesting story. I was like, well, of course you got to give her the money back. I mean, you got to track it down. It's the right. It is, and I agree with you now. You know, after you explained it to me, I was like, yeah, you know what? It is the right thing to do. That they are trying to track her down to give her the money. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, I think the world's sort of, you know, some things will get off topic, but I mean, the world's kind of gone to a bit of shit lately, right? You look at, you know, I sell some things on eBay. I have to post that tracked, right? Otherwise, if I don't, someone will get it. Oh, I never got my item, and you know, and so it makes the whole ecosystem of posting things just more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so, you know, dishonesty doesn't pay. And so I love the fact that they said, "Hey, look, we sold this, man. How can we get a hold of you? Give you $100,000." That put a smile on my face. You know, that's you know, I like that.
Yeah,
so I like reading that. So
anyway, it was a fun story. Yeah, man, so we do have some questions in though. We got some questions from people. The first one we got is from something weird. He wants to know, what is your can't wait thing from E3? So like basically, what game are we looking forward to being announced the most? I'll let you go ahead and answer first.
Announced or released?
I guess announced or being shown off that we've been waiting to see gameplay of.
See, like for me personally, I'm looking out for Legacy of the Void. I really was getting into the StarCraft 2 story. I loved what they did with the story, the single player. Surprisingly, I thought they jammed the multiplayer. I thought that sucked with StarCraft 2. And I mean, hopefully this time around with Legacy of the Void, they get the story right and the multiplayer right, because I'd love to get back into StarCraft 2 1 versus 1. So I'm really looking forward to the StarCraft 2 expansion pack. Me personally, that's the one game that I'm like really eyeing off. So that's for me. For announcements, yeah, again, I'd love to see them just announce a Venom game. Like I'd love to see something on Venom, man. I'm tired of all this mainstream zombie killing, sword wielding, fucking BS that's out there at the moment. Like it's good. I mean, some of the games are really good. Don't get me wrong. It's just like it's sort of, for me, it's like they're just beating the horse with the same sort of genre, time and time again. Now it's like I'd love to see something new, Yeah. And I thought Pillars of Eternity. I'm getting into that. I'm still playing that.
That's a good
really
game.
Sort of, it made me happy, man. Like that put a smile to my face. I'm still playing that now when I get some. Love to see something like just new. That's for me. But
I mean, I guess as far as finally seeing some gameplay, I guess I'm excited to see Battlefront. I want to see what it actually is going to be finally. And
the Star Wars one, yeah.
Yeah, because there's been so much controversy around it and so much negative news that I just want to see actual gameplay and see what it's actually going to be like at the end of the day. But as far as announcements go, I kind of have a hope and a dream. As recently we saw some leaked gameplay that came out for a remaster. Let this come to PC and be like, I don't know, do like Windows 10 exclusive, whatever you got to do, Microsoft, to make your money and justify putting it on the PC. I don't care. I just want to play Gears of War multiplayer on the PC more than I can possibly explain. And I know my buddy...
Just speaking of Windows 10 quickly, did you get that Windows 10 announcement? I think it's July 29th. They're bringing out they're rolling up the free upgrade to Windows 10.
I haven't gotten any notifications for it because I have the update notifications disabled through Windows 8 on the registry editor. Because I got tired of being asked to update to 8.1, so I disabled it in the registry. So I guess that's why I'm not getting any Windows 10 announcements either.
Well, yeah, it's coming July 29th. That's pretty interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay. But yeah, it's just really, really Gears of War, and I know my buddy Charlie from For the Banter NI, who's got a really good upcoming tech and gaming channel also. I know he would agree, because him and I would be playing that game 24/7 if Gears dropped on the PC. I don't think I'd have videos out for a while, because all I'd be doing is playing that and live streaming Gears of War. Because I mean, those games had some of the best multiplayer that I've ever played in my life, that were actually skill based and wasn't just like every other shooter where it's like, well, whoever runs around and aims the fastest, and aims first at the guy is going to get the kill. Like there was Gears of War, what it was really about for me was there was so much sort of on your toes strategy that was just happening second to second. You're in cover, the other guy's in cover just on the other side of the wall, and it's like, who's going to peek first? Who's going to make that quick little turn and then just get that hip-fired Nasher shot off and jib the other guy in 2 million pieces? And I just haven't been able to capture that back on PC since not playing on Xbox anymore. And I wish it'd come to PC so much.
Yes, that's right. The multiplayer is what makes a good game, in my opinion, especially for longevity, right? Or longevity.
Longevity.
And longevity.
Or I don't know, different countries. You might pronounce it different. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It just comes out of me, longevity. It's probably wrong. It's actually longevity, yeah. I think that's the way to pronounce it. But I've always just said, since I was a little boy, longevity. But it's like me and cash, man. That's an Australian thing, I think, because everywhere I've checked, everywhere else in the world, it's pronounced cash. But from back when I looked up the Macquarie Dictionary, legit, man, it says it's actually pronounced cash in Oz. Anyway, so yeah, back onto that. Multiplayer really makes or breaks a game. So I'm looking forward. Yeah, if you're looking forward to Gears of War, then so am I.
If it comes to PC, I mean, if it's only an Xbox One, then couldn't care less.
Actually, I've got to confess. I've got a confession on live stream. My brother, he's a big Destiny fanboy on the PS4, and he's buying me a PlayStation 4. Like he's buying me one. He's already bought me Destiny. And he's like, when I come to Japan, he's coming to Japan later this month. He's like, I'm gonna buy you a PlayStation 4. You got to play Destiny. And actually, from what I hear, Destiny's a really good game. That's what I'm hearing.
I've heard it's Borderlands in space.
No, well, he's hooked on it, man. I've never seen him hooked on a video game like this.
If it was on PC, I'd be interested to play it. But my whole thing there is it's a shooter and it uses a controller, and I can't do it.
Well, see, I'm looking straight away. I'm looking, how do I get a keyboard and mouse plugged up to a PlayStation 4?
Yeah, I can't use a controller. I've seen videos on it, but it looks like there's an incredible amount of input lag, and so much that I don't think I'd be able to put up with it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try something anyway. So, I told him I ain't doing the whole controller thing, not with FPS, no way.
All right, let's see if we got any more questions here.
Oh yeah, let's move on. Let's get the questions rolling. Got another 5 minutes or so. So
yeah. All right, so we got a question in from For the Banter, and I actually says, for both of you, what is the handiest piece of tech that you own, and would you consider? Wait, I can't really understand this. What is the handiest piece of tech that you own that you would consider cheap that you couldn't live without? So what is a cheap piece of tech that you own that you could not live without?
It's a hard question. I mean, I've got a lot of good stuff here. I mean, how cheap are we talking? Like, give us a price range.
I'm thinking...
Obviously, my graphics card.
I'm thinking under $20. I'm thinking under $20.
Under $20. Okay.
I'm looking around my desk for something that costs less than $20. I've got thumb drives.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really. I mean, I could live without all this crap here. So maybe Wally. He gives me some motivational support. Like,
it's all right. I've got my mascot. I got a Wizard Cartman.
So, yeah, there's Wally. Yeah, he's loud, man. So yeah, I got Wally. He's pretty good. He gives me some motivational support from time to time, you know.
Yeah.
So, but nothing really. Like, I don't like. I mean, maybe a USB. Actually, yeah. Sorry, I'd say my USB card reader, SD card reader. I need that. You know,
that's a good one.
So it'd be an SD card reader. I mean, I couldn't live without that because obviously I record on my cam, plug it up to my computer, copy the footage over from the cam. I mean, that'd be something cheap.
Yeah. I guess my cheapest thing tech wise that I own that I love and can't live without is my DAC, my FIO E10K DAC amp, which was only like $70, and this thing puts out just as good a sound as some $250 DAC amps that I've listened to.
They've done a really good job. Like I had a FIO DAC amp come through, man, and that that crosstalk was legit. Holy shit! Like that was
crystal
good.
Clear. It's just
it's the channel separation's really good, man. Like I was impressed. That's what makes, in my opinion, that was the key difference between this and onboard audio, and that's what made it worth the money. Was just that alone, the crosstalk. So anyway, sorry. Let's we want to move on to one.
Does anyone else have any more questions in the chat? Because we don't really have too many other questions on the Twitter. But if anyone,
I'll answer one more and then I'll shoot to work. I got to get ready to work. So.
Yeah. If anyone's got one question, you could fire away into the chat real quick. Then we'll have enough time to do one more, but then we're going to be off of here. I know there's a little bit of delay, obviously, on this, so that's why it's kind of behind a little bit. But hopefully we'll get a question in any moment now from someone. Anyone? I should actually ask them. Fire questions. I'll type it in chat.
Oh, it's okay, man. I mean, we can end the show. I mean, it's the pilot, so
yeah. All right. Sorry. All right. So I guess. All right. So we'll end it then. All right. I guess because you got to get to work. We already ran about 15 minutes over.
That was good, man. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome. So.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, especially considering you and I have only talked twice. So I think we fell into a good rhythm, and I think this is just only going to get better. And I'm looking forward to doing it next week.
Yeah, man. So you guys just hit that like button, and subscribe to both me and Joker if you enjoy the live, uncut, just brutal honesty that we're bringing. I'm always going to tell how I see it, and I'm not going to hold back on anything. So if you guys want that opinion that's not, I don't know, how would you say, not paid off or not, just
pretty much
brutally honest, then, you always come to me and Joker, so we'll give it to you straight down the line. So I think that's something we both agreed on, especially with both our channels and both our, our tech shows, is that, this tech show is that we're just going to keep it just 100% clean,
Yep. Okay.
Gloves on at all times. So.
Before I sign it off, we can do this. Yeah. Someone fired a question that we can answer in one word, probably. What type of music do you listen to? Go. Favorite genre of music? Ramo asked
Oh,
that.
80s rock, 80s rock.
And I guess I'm rock, but I don't have any limitations on that. I can go from 60s all the way up until you want to slit your wrist and pull your brain out of your head because the music is so loud.
Well,
That's my scale of rock. I can get anything in there. Hair metal, you
favorite.
name it. Like for instance, this summer in concert, I'm going to see Slipknot, Van Halen, and Def Leppard in the span of 3 weeks. So I can cover it all. It doesn't matter. But so that's it for me and for Brian for this first episode of Tech Gaming Weekly. Don't forget to look down in the description for the link for the Batman contest. You got 7 different ways you can enter, and we're going to be announcing the winner next week on the episode of Tech Gaming Weekly, as well as if you do win, I will be messaging you through social media or email. So don't worry if you missed the episode. We're not going to hold it against you, although we'll secretly hate you behind your back. But yeah, so we'll be announcing the winner next week, next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, just like this week. So yeah, hope to see you guys again back for that, and look forward to talking to you next week, Brian, for the episode.
You too, jokes or Joker.
Joker, jokes.
Yep. All right, man.
We're only known each other for a week, and so we're already on shorthands. It's all good, Brian.
That's it, man.
It's all good, Brian. Brian
B Dog, J Dog. It's all good, man. So yeah, we'll catch you guys next week, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully, I will find out why my G302 is just completely frozen as well. I actually had to. I've got the thermal take mouse here. Oh, we forgot to discuss the thermal take thing too.
Oh, we'll save that. I forgot all about that.
We'll save that for next week.
I don't know how I lost that when I was pulling up my bookmark topics, but yeah, thermal take is copying everyone's cases bad. That's basically the end of the topic. They're copying the Fractal Define R5. What the fuck are you thinking, thermal take? But other than that, I'll catch you slunts next time.
Yeah, I'll catch you guys. Yeah, sorry, man. See you guys. Peace out for now.
Later.
Bye.
Tat.